What's going on YouTube? So it's no surprise that the Lexus TX has taken the luxury three-row segment by storm, quickly becoming one of the best sellers. And today we're with the latest 2026 version to see if there are any changes and to see if this is the best family luxury SUV you can buy. And let's go ahead and find out. So a fitting place to begin is with the spec dump and under the hood. So there's three different powertrains for 2026 in the TX. We have the standard one is the 2.4 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, making 275 horsepower. It's paired to an 8-speed automatic transmission, and with all-wheel drive, the combined fuel economy is 23 mpg.
Now, the base price for 2026 is $57,000, and if you're looking to buy one or any new vehicle, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes to get the best price. Now, of course, we'll be taking it out for a spin later on. While we're on that spin, we'll get things like our sound level reading, and at the end, we'll discuss resale and reliability.
But let's go ahead and close up the hood because we need to take a look at the exterior as well as the interior of this biggest Lexus SUV. So when you first walk up to this TX, one of the things that you might notice is that it doesn't look a lot like many of the other Lexus products. That's because this SUV has the new Lexus Unified Spindle is what they call it. And what that means is that most of the grille, as you can see, is a full body color design. You just have these little gaps here in between the body color panels. Makes for definitely a distinct look even from the RX model. Now if you choose the F-Sport trims, that's going to get you a more aggressive lower fascia. This is the luxury version, so this is kind of the top spec version in terms of that overall aesthetic. And let's move over here to our headlights. So on this model, it also has distinct headlights from the rest of the Lexus lineup because you don't have the triple beam headlights. Instead, you have kind of a more simplified look. You have the projector LEDs as standard equipment for low and high beams, a very large daytime running light and turn signal indicator up top. And then as we move down to this lower area, you'll see two more lights. This is your LED fog light, and we also have cornering lamps. And as we walk around to the back of this TX, it's got that signature classy Lexus design.
Yeah, and it does look quite big. And as far as individual design touches, we have a spoiler up here at the top, a rear wiper, our signature full-length Lexus taillights across the back. And as far as the individual taillight elements, we do have an LED brake light, an LED reverse light, and an LED amber turn signal indicator, so every element is LED. Dropping down to the lower diffuser, we have a mixture of body color and matte plastic, and all powertrains can tow 5,000 pounds.
Moving on to the wheels, you begin with 20-inch alloys, and then you can work your way up to 22-inch alloys. Here on the luxury, we have the optional 22-inch alloys today on this tester. This is a multi-spoke with kind of a gray finish. I think these look really nice. They're certainly a big upgrade from the standard contrast alloys. And of course, the F-Sport gets its own unique wheels as well. Also, another thing I like about the TX is that we have all the body color wheel surrounds here, as well as the lower moldings. As we move up here to the mirrors, we have all the features as standard equipment, including auto dimming, blind spot monitoring, heating, and power folding.
Now you're really going to see the bigness of the Lexus TX here at the side. It's 203.2 inches in length, and although this is not the most expensive Lexus SUV, it does have the most space. We'll see that a little bit later on. Now as far as design touches, we have the chrome up here at the top, a chrome roof rail, and I do want to point out there's a 2026 change when it comes to your overall colors. Matador Red Mica is now available on your non-F-Sport variants, so that's a nice addition to things like this Lexus TX 350 Luxury. Now when it comes to your safety systems, I'm also happy to tell you Lexus includes all of your active safety features as standard equipment, and you also have available traffic jam assist. But we need to see if there are any changes on the inside for 2026. But first, if you're new here, we're brothers, and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We started young, and since then, we've reviewed over 2,000 cars at every price point.
No matter what you're looking for, from our long-term vehicle videos to our side-by-side comparisons, we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family.
Let's learn a lot and have some fun with all the latest cars. All right, let's move on to the interior and get out of the rain. First, Here's our key fob. It's the typical Lexus key fob. Of course, you have a standard smart entry system as you would expect, and you have an available digital key if you want to option that on. Getting inside, just grab behind the handle. That will unlock the door with the touch sensor on the electronic door handle. And let's check out the interior of this model. So as you can see, it's got a very modern design, very much in line with all the latest Lexus products, And let's start off by talking about the seats. So with this model, most of your trims will come with a new Luxe leatherette. That's going to be for both the F Sport and the regular ones. However, when you choose the luxury grades, that's where you get the big upgrade. So what you're looking at right now is a semi-aniline leather. So this is one of the highest grades of leather that's offered in the auto industry. It's very soft and supple. Definitely like the perforation and some nice stitching details. And you also have a suede accent that runs down the side. Now, it's not just the leather quality, though. The luxury models also enhance the adjustments. So you add 2 additional ways of lumbar support, and you have a power thigh extension. Just be aware there's no massaging on this. Some of the rivals to this model do offer massage, such as the Acura MDX. Memory seats are included on all but the base model, and let's climb on inside. Now that we're inside the cabin, let's assess the overall material quality of this top-end luxury trim level. So over here on the door trim, we have the full leatherette covering. It's very nicely padded for your arm to rest in. And then the center section is also finished in a leather material with the matching color to the seats. The top part of the door is soft touch plastic. As we move to the upper dashboard, all of this is finished in a soft touch plastic, as is this section. We have some silver accenting through here, a little bit of leatherette, and a suede insert. And then as we move to the center section here, we have more padding all along the console for your knee to rest against, and a little bit of wood trim, which will run through there, and then this strip runs through the center section. We'll fire it up now with the push button start. And now that she's all fired up, let's jump into some individual details. We'll start, as always, with the gauge cluster. So one of the improvements Lexus made, actually, after the very first model year, was going to a full digital gauge cluster as standard equipment. So now you have, on all models, this 12.3-inch reconfigurable cluster. You can change a few different types of designs and customizable information. You also have these touch-sensitive controls on the steering wheel. When you make adjustments, those will display right there to show you what it means. And then also at the top, you'll notice in the head-up display that we also have all the menus located up there, so you don't even have to look down. This is a really nice feature, I think, overall in the Lexus lineup. Now, as we pull back, we have a nice leather-wrapped steering wheel. Heating is standard equipment. We also have power, tilt, and telescoping, and we have rain-sensing wipers. But one of the things that I think that's really contributed to the success of this Lexus TX is the amount of storage and space that's inside this model. That begins up here in the front with this very functional console area. So opening up our center console and looking inside, we have a lot of donuts inside. This is our signature donut test, and we do this to kind of demonstrate and compare to the rivals how much storage space you have inside. Well, in this case, we have 21 donuts in this center console. That's absolutely massive, almost the max amount of 24 donuts that we carry around with us. And of course, that's not all the storage. So as we move forward, we have a couple cup holders and a little bit of storage around them. One of the interesting things about this model is that this has removable cup holders, so if for some reason you don't need them, you can pull them out and just use this storage space for anything else. We have a nice wireless phone charging pad right here, which is standard equipment, and we can actually push this back, and then underneath we have another kind of secret storage compartment. Finally, as you look over here on the passenger side, we even have another pit there where you can stick some loose objects. Now, of course, one of the things that contributes to the storage is the fact that we have a small electronic shifter. So just press over and back for drive. You can pull back again for a manual mode, and you have paddle shifters on the steering wheel. Go the opposite way for reverse. And when you head into reverse, you'll see a standard backup camera, or if you spring for the tech package, you can get this 360-degree camera system. This is going to give you the nice overhead view as well as your active trajectory. Of course, you have parking sensors as well. You can clean the cameras off. And this package also includes this button right here, which allows you to have automatic, parallel, and perpendicular parking. Press the P there for park, and behind there you have your electronic parking brake and your brake hold function, as well as your button here for your hill descent control and to turn off your auto start stop. And the next place to take a look at is the audio system. So as you can see, we've got a nice physical volume knob, and there's two different audio systems for this model. You have a standard 12 speaker sound system. However, we have the optional 21 speaker Mark Levinson Pure Play, and let's give that a sample right now. Yeah, so overall sound quality of this system is quite good. Fills up the cabin nicely, and of course you have those nice prominent speaker grills right there on the door trim. Alright, so let's move on into the main display. So unlike a lot of the other Lexus SUVs in the lineup, you have the largest screen size as standard equipment with the TX. So this is the 14-inch display. The lower section is reserved for the climate control. So this is a 3-zone automatic climate setup. You adjust the temperature right there with those nice knobs that are embedded into the screen itself. More functions can be done right there. And you also notice that we have some buttons here for our heated steering wheel. Heated seats are standard on every single Lexus TX, and then all but the base model will have standard ventilated seats as well, and they're automatic. Now the rest of the display, like I was saying, it is the 14-inch screen. It has wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. Right now I'm in the Android Auto system, but I'll cycle back into the main display so you can take a look at Lexus software. It's a very simple software. It's shared with the Toyota brand. You have things like built-in navigation, which activates once you set up the vehicle. And you have some additional functions inside of here, such as your drive modes, different types of seat controls as well, such as the ability to raise the third row from up here in the front. Moving up top, we've got the auto dimming mirror with HomeLink universal remotes. Since this is the luxury trim, we can option on the tech package with the digital camera rear view mirror. That cuts out all the obstructions if you have your cargo backed up really tall. And then also at the top here, we'll slide back the panoramic sunroof. One 2026 change I want to mention is the fact that the very top end 550h Plus plug-in hybrid model now has a standard panoramic sunroof for this model year. That was previously something you could not get despite the price tag of about $80,000.
Now we've got to talk about the second and third rows, as well as the cargo capacity in the Lexus TX, because like I said at the side, this is actually the largest Lexus SUV when it comes to space in the lineup, and certainly you're going to have a lot of it. So let's start by talking about that here in the second row. We're looking at 40 inches of rear legroom, 39 inches of rear headroom. That is larger than the vast majority of any of the options you may be looking at, like Acura MDX. It is going to be the same as the Toyota Grand Highlander, its sibling mate, of course. And this seat is adjusted to Drew, who's 5'8", I'm 5'9", and we brought along the official Car Confections ruler. Now, the reason we do that is so we can get a realistic knee room figure, and we're looking at a very good 9 inches of knee room. My feet can also easily slide up underneath of these seats. The seats themselves do have the ability to slide forward all the way to touch the rear of the front seat, and then you also have the ability to recline a very good distance as well. So there's a lot of customizability when it comes to how you want to configure the space. Speaking of the seats themselves, we have the optional captain's chairs. You can either get captain's chairs or a bench seat here in the rear. That means overall seating capacity of this model is 6-passenger. You can also get 7-passenger if you get the bench seat. When you opt for the captain's chairs, you will additionally get this nice little cubby here in the center that allows you to have some storage. You also have these removable cup holders here in the back as well, so that's a nice touch, definitely good for the family. As far as other features, we have our own zone of climate here in the rear, as expected. A lot of the models will come at least with heated back seats. However, since we have the fully loaded example today, we have heated and ventilated rear seats, which is something that the Acura MDX does not offer. Down below, we have 2 USB ports. As you can see, it's pretty useful for charging up our audio gear when you forget to charge it. And then if you look over at the door trim, standard rear window sunshades on every single Lexus TX. We have vents coming out of the ceiling. The door trim is also quite nice with a lot of leather all through the center section. And then the whole bottom is hollowed out for plenty of door storage, so it absolutely easily swallows up things like this water bottle. Now, one of the highlights about the Lexus TX is the third row. So let's go ahead and get back there. In order to get back there, all you have to do is press that button right there. That's going to allow the seat to kind of slide up and out of the way. Of course, you can just go in between the seats, but do be aware the seat back itself did move. Now, that makes for a really easy pathway here into the third row, and oh yeah, absolutely fantastic third row here in the TX. We're looking at 33.5 inches of rear legroom and about 37 inches of headroom. Now, in comparison to some of its rivals like the Acura MDX, this is a much better third row. This is a really good third row. I believe it is the class leader in my opinion. And as far as how much knee room we have, this seat is slid all the way back in its tracks, and we're still looking at 3 inches of knee room. And keep in mind, I'm 5'9" for reference. My feet can also slide up underneath of the seats, and the thigh support I think is really noteworthy here in the TX. You're sitting high up off the ground, so you're not going to be like in a fetal position here in the third row. It's very nicely done. The seats are nice and wide as well, and as far as features, you have a nice leatherette pad for your arm to rest on. We have the removable cup holder back here as well, a fixed cup holder, and this button right here, which will allow you to recline the seats for even extra comfort. So really, this third row is certainly not much of a penalty over the second row, honestly. We have USB ports on both sides and vents coming out of the ceiling here, which is another feature that Acura MDX does not include. So as far as how this rates on the third row rating scale, aside from features like a heated third row not being offered, this is really about as good as it gets. So I'm going to say this is fit for adults. Now, walking up to the tailgate, we have a standard hands-free power tailgate on all TXs, and let's also talk about cargo capacity. That's a big deal for anyone buying in this segment, and we are sitting at some really great numbers, class-leading numbers, may I add. 20 cubic feet behind the third row of seats, 57 cubic feet if you fold those down, and as a maximum 97 cubic feet. Those are really fantastic numbers, as I just mentioned. It is going to be about 25 cubic feet larger than the Acura MDX. It's larger than the Lexus LX, and it's also going to be about double that of the Lexus RX. So depending on what you're cross-shopping with, I think you'll be very pleasantly surprised with the numbers here. Speaking of cross-shopping, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/vehicle rankings. There are a lot of luxury mid-size 3 rows out in the market, and we've looked at all of the options and ranked them in individual categories that might matter more or less to you as a shopper in this segment. Things like cargo capacity, third row luxury, as well as features up in the front, powertrain choices, reliability, and safety are all detailed there for you. So if you want to make an informed buying decision, definitely go to carconfections.com/vehicle rankings. Now back to the TX. As you can see over here, we do have a power folding third row. It is a simple one-touch setup so that it makes things super easy to do. And then in order to fold the second row of seats, unfortunately there are not any handles or buttons to do that here in the cargo area, so I will have to go up there and do it. And now that I've got those folded down, as you can see, all the seats are completely flat with the floor. And let's get our cargo length, width, and height figures. Now, as far as overall cargo length, fantastic. 91 inches of length back here from behind the second row of seats with them slid all the way back. 53 inches of length from behind the third row of seats. That's going to start right around here. 22 inches. As far as the opening, whopping 49 inches wide. And then let's get our height as well. Really great. 32 inches tall. And then as far as load-in height, that's going to also be right at that 32-inch mark. If we lift up the floor, you will find a little bit of extra space. This vehicle does also come with a spare tire, which is becoming increasingly rare nowadays. Well guys, here we are behind the wheel of the Lexus TX. In this test drive we're going to be discussing quite a lot, including getting our sound level reading. But first we need to go ahead and start with a hard acceleration.
Alright, that's 60 miles per hour with this Lexus TX 350. So like we discussed at the beginning in the spec dump, this is available in 3 different powertrain options. They're all 3 quite distinct from each other, and you can just kind of, match with what your lifestyle is. This is the version most people are going to walk away from the dealership with. It's the TX 350. Like I said, it's the 2.4 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. This makes 275 horsepower and 317 pound-feet of torque, which is pretty decent for this segment of vehicle. Its biggest rival is the MDX. That does come standard with a very similar amount of power, but from a V6 engine.
Yeah. So overall, power it's okay for this class of vehicle. I think you will notice this is a very big feeling SUV. So the 4-cylinder is not going to like knock your socks off in terms of performance, but it's enough for the average buyer. The one thing I will say is that the engine is kind of a little bit coarse and loud. So when you compare it to the Acura MDX, that's going to have a lot more of a refined engine and powertrain setup as compared to this 4-cylinder. But never fear, Lexus offers 2 other options. You can see those on the screen right now. That is the TX 500H, which is a performance hybrid model that has the same 2.4 liter turbo 4-cylinder, 366 horsepower, 406 pound-feet of torque. 0 to 60 on that is 6.1 seconds as compared to the nearly 8 seconds to 60 of this TX 350. And then you also have the 550H Plus plug-in hybrid variant, which has 404 total system horsepower out of a 3.5 liter V6 plus electric components. So quite a lot of choices there. Namely, a lot of the competition is not offering hybrid variants, so it's really nice that Lexus gives you 2 hybrid variants that get really good efficiency.
Auto start stop system is nice and smooth on board. Yeah, I definitely can feel that ample torque when I take off from the stoplight there. Let's talk a little bit about the transmission situation as well while we wait at this next red light. You have 3 different transmissions for the 3 different powertrains. This is the 8-speed automatic. It's a nice and smooth partner to this engine. You also can get a 6-speed automatic if you get that 500H, and then you have an eCVT for the plug-in hybrid variant.
Yeah, lots of options with this.
Lots of options.
It's kind of the name of the game, and I like that they do give you all those options. Now, as far as fuel economy, let's also hit that while we're sitting at this red light. So the 350 model in all-wheel drive, like what we have today, is sitting at 23 miles per gallon combined. Like we said, there are hybrid variants. Those give you not just extra power, but also more efficiency. The 500H is 27 miles per gallon combined, and then you have the 550H Plus, so the plug-in hybrid, and that's going to be rated at around 29 mpg after you deplete its 33 miles of all-electric range. And now that we're opening up onto the highway portion of this review, I want to talk about ride quality with the TX. Now, as you probably expect, this vehicle is luxury focused, and you can definitely feel that when it comes to ride quality. As soon as you sit in these seats, you just kind of melt in. These luxury seats are fantastic seats, and also the suspension is tuned so nicely here in this luxury variant. It really does a great job of soaking up the bumps, and even despite us having the optional 22s on the outside, it still rides really nicely. So this is just a vehicle I can absolutely see you just hitting the highway and not stopping for 10 hours and being completely fine. I do want to mention, though, of course, it depends on what trim level you select. If you go for the F Sport variants, you're going to have a rear steering setup. You're also going to have an adaptive suspension, and it's a special Sport Tune suspension. We've been behind the wheel of that one, and do be aware that's going to be quite a bit sportier than this, so it's not going to have as good a ride quality, but will have a little bit better dynamics.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say it's uncomfortable by any stretch of the imagination. This is a model that's just designed really primarily for comfort because it is a large SUV. They know you're going to have your family in here. You're going to be hauling around a lot of stuff, going on long road trips probably, and this is an excellent choice really in all trims for those tasks.
Well, we also need to talk about our slam dunk and airball, our favorite and least favorite element. Drew, why don't you kick us off with the slam dunk of the TX?
The slam dunk is just the absolute utility of this model. We've talked about it throughout this video, so I won't beat a dead horse here, but this is very large. It's larger than pretty much anything that it competes with. It's actually the largest Lexus, even though it costs thousands less than some of the other models like GX and LX.
Yeah, and I think that is primarily the reason why it is now actually outselling the Acura MDX after just 1.5 years of it being on the market. Now, on the flip side, what's our airball? our air ball, excuse me, is just the overall luxury that you'll find in the TX. I think that's one area that could certainly be improved. We're here in the fully loaded luxury version, and there's still just not a ton of like nice upgraded materials. You have a tiny bit of wood that traces this piece through here, you know, and yes, there's some soft touch plastics and stuff, but it certainly is not as nice as some of the competition, like a fully loaded Acura MDX. All right, and we are speeding up to 55 miles per hour so we can get our sound level reading. We have it on fan speed 1. Very good. Wow, 51.7 decibels is what we are sitting at in the Lexus TX 350 Luxury. Now, we don't have to sit here and guess how it compares to all of its rivals. We can find that at carconfections.com/sound level readings. There are a lot of rivals in this segment, and indeed, that makes it one of the very quietest vehicles that we have tested in the entire segment. That is absolutely very impressive. That is for sure. I do believe that the luxury version seems a little bit quieter in here than some of the other versions of the TX that we've tested out before, so I think that's something worth noting, but very good sound level reading. And now it's time to talk pricing. So for 2026, I'm happy to tell you prices don't rise a ton. It's only about $600 on most of the versions of this vehicle, so it's not a huge price increase this year. We start at $57,000. Now, of course, this one is going to be more expensive, and there are a lot more expensive versions. You can see those on the screen, but we have the 2026 TX 350 all-wheel drive. We have the luxury trim level, which starts at $62,300. We also have quite a few options on board. 1450 destination, we are looking at a grand total of $73,543 as tested today. Now, if you're curious as to where this vehicle is made, it's actually manufactured here in the U.S. in Princeton, Indiana. Now, if you're looking to buy a Lexus TX or any new vehicle, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. The reason you do that is because we have a tool on our website that will connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool to use while dealer negotiating. If you'd like to take advantage of all of that, as well as things like our monthly payment tool, you can find a link to that in our video description, as well as a pinned comment down below. But buying a vehicle is about more than just the original MSRP, so let's talk about resale and reliability. First up, let's talk about resale value. As an economics graduate myself, we took the time to develop what we think is a good estimate for this Lexus TX's potential resale value. We estimate that after 5 years and 60,000 miles, it'll be worth 53.8% of original MSRP, and after 10 years and 120,000 miles, 28.1%. Now, it's worth noting those are actually very impressive resale value figures. It's above industry average for all vehicle makes, and it's the #1 luxury brand by a pretty significant margin. It is much better than your German rivals, such as BMW, Mercedes-Benz, and Audi.
The same can also be said for reliability. So we have developed the Combined Reliability Index, which takes into account several trustworthy sources on reliability and combines those studies into a way that gives you the most holistic picture. In this regard, Lexus is the #1 rated luxury brand.
Now, if you'd like to learn more about our resale values, our reliability data, or our methodology, be sure to go to carconfections.com/resale and carconfections.com/reliability. Buying a new vehicle is a very big decision, so you want to make sure you're making a smart purchase, especially if you're cross-shopping between different vehicle brands. Also important in that decision is your warranty. You have a 4-year, 50,000-mile basic warranty, a 6-year, 70,000-mile powertrain warranty. You do also get 2 complimentary service visits, so that's a very good luxury warranty. And guys, that's all for one of the first in-depth reviews of the 2026 Lexus TX 350. If you enjoyed watching this video or found it helpful in your purchasing decisions as we detail some of the 2026 changes, we'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, you're going to be a part of our Car Confections family, have the latest car reviews, as well as things like comparisons on the channel. I promise you won't miss out. I promise you won't want to miss out. Now, if you're already a part of our family, thank you so much for your continued support, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.